The explosion you just saw was not a simple transformer station burning in the heart of Russia. That black smoke you saw was not an ordinary warehouse burning down in the territory of Crimea. This, right here, is the very moment that Vladimir Putin definitively lost the war in Ukraine. On the night of November 13th, Ukraine launched its largest, most coordinated attack against the Russian Federation. The Ukrainian General Staff personally stepped forward to confirm this absolutely brutal and devastating coordinated attack. Look, this is not just another swarm of UAVs. You must forget that simplistic assumption entirely. This was the very first official combat mission of Ukraine's new Flamingo and Bars cruise missiles. These advanced new weapons completely rewrote all the rules on the Russian map on November 13th. Dozens of high-value military targets located deep within occupied Crimea and the Zaporizhzhia region were hit. Key command centers, massive fuel depots, and entire airports were reduced to ashes within mere hours. And while all of this was happening, the massive thermal power plant located in Orel suddenly collapsed. Entire cities were suddenly plunged into total darkness. The people were in a state of widespread panic. Russian air defenses, their vaunted S-400s and Pantsirs, were completely ineffective against this advanced new threat. At the attack's moment, Orel Governor Andrei Klitschkov couldn't tell people to go to shelters. This was because there were no shelters. Do you know what he told the panicked population instead? His official advice was to hide in the hallway, in the bathroom, or inside of the closet. This is a Russian governor admitting the outcome of Putin's 25-year promise of a supposedly strong Russia. On one side, there were these embarrassing confessions. On the other side, there were only desperate threats. Chief propagandist Volodymyr Solovyov appeared on screen, trying to hide the helplessness caused by the attack. Solovyov raged that key Ukrainian cities and infrastructure targets must be completely wiped off the map. Another propagandist threatened the entire world with Russia's powerful Poseidon nuclear torpedoes, a frightening escalation. Russia, unable to even stop the attacks on its own soil, was threatening to destroy Kyiv. In the midst of this profound irony, what was Vladimir Putin's Great Russia actually doing? Was this Great Russia preparing its nuclear missiles for a final confrontation? The answer was no. Its own citizens were setting fire to transformers in Irkutsk and railways in Leningrad for small bribes. Yes, you heard that correctly. For a few rubles, they burned their country on scammers' instructions. This was the truly pitiful and desperate state of Vladimir Putin's supposedly patriotic people in 2025. Let's take a moment to clearly name exactly what was happening across all of these different fronts. For decades, Vladimir Putin has relied on one single concept: the idea of Russia's infinite greatness. He believed that Moscow, St. Petersburg, and critical industrial facilities near the Ural Mountains were safe. This was the core assumption that everyone in the Kremlin firmly believed right up until November 13th. In a historic announcement, the Ukrainian General Staff played its game-changing cards: Flamingo, Bars, and Loichi. These are not Western aid. These are Ukraine's own domestically produced high-technology products. This is the moment Putin's lie that the war ends if Western aid stops officially died. The Flamingo missile has a confirmed operational range of 3,000 kilometers. This is not a detail. It means every military base, every command bunker beyond Moscow and the Urals is now a target. Putin thought he could destroy the war in Ukraine's cities. Now the flames are turning back. These missiles weren't just designed to explode. Some were equipped with bunker-busting warheads for deep targets. They are capable of penetrating solid concrete up to 10 meters thick before they finally detonate inside. So why is this specific piece of information so critically important to understanding the entire strategic picture? Because the targets struck on November 13th revealed this was not terror, but a surgical operation. This was a decapitation operation targeting Vladimir Putin's top generals, oligarchs, and his key warlords. This is a clear and direct message sent from Kyiv to the highest levels in Moscow. The rules of this brutal war have now fundamentally changed. The war is no longer just here. Now, nowhere in Russia is safe from attack, and this is confirmed to be just the beginning. Indeed, President Zelensky stated that serial production of these missiles will begin in January or February 2026. So the nightmare that Russia witnessed on November 13th was in fact just a technical preview. Until now, Russia believed Ukraine could only conduct harassing fire with old Soviet-era UAVs or missiles. Russian air defense systems were calibrated for these slow and easily detectable, predictable targets. On November 13th, they encountered cruise missiles that flew much faster, much lower, and were impossible to detect. And the result of this encounter was nothing less than a complete and total military fiasco.
The Telegram channel Supernova Plus confirmed that this debris belonged to the new Ukrainian Flamingo missiles. Instead of protecting its own people, Russian air defenses rained burning missile fragments down on citizens. If you want to measure the true strength of a regime, look at what it tells its people. As the Orel Thermal Power Plant burned, millions of Russians faced the reality of war. Their windows shook, the power went out, and fire rained from the sky. At 4:30 a.m., alarms sounded. So what did Governor Andrei Klitschko, appointed by Putin, do to protect his panicked people? The answer is a tragicomic confession that sums up the reality of civil defense in Russia. He advised, "If you are at home, hide in rooms with solid walls and absolutely no windows. Go to the hallway, the bathroom, or the closet. If on the street, find a building." This is a governor in a region of millions unable to tell people to go to shelters. During Putin's 25 years in power, he spent billions on propaganda, but completely forgot civil defense. While the war has been devastating Ukrainian cities for 2 years, Putin's governors were unprepared. Why? Because they themselves believed their own propaganda. They succumbed to their own incredible arrogance. Now that arrogance is trapped inside a dark, empty bathroom cabinet in the city of Orel. Putin's chief propagandist, Vladimir Solovyov, appeared to lose control on live television, demanding harsh retribution. He called for the destruction of key Ukrainian cities and critical infrastructure such as dams. He insisted that major population centers should be, in his words, completely wiped off the earth. This is a cry of pure desperation. It means we can't protect our cities, so destroy theirs. At the same time, another Russian propagandist began threatening the whole world with nuclear torpedoes. In another program, propagandist Solovyov berated a CEO because the humanoid robot he was presenting fell. A governor says, "Hide in the closet." A propagandist threatens nuclear war. A toy robot falls. This is the schizophrenia of the Putin regime, an elite class completely detached from all reality. Putin promised stability and security. Today, all he offers is panic, nuclear threats, and a bathroom. This was just the tip of the iceberg. The target list reveals how deep this attack was. This was not a retaliation targeting a single city. It was an all-out coordinated operation. It was aimed at simultaneously cutting off the brain, logistics, and fuel supply of the war machine. Crimea is the main artery feeding Russia's southern front. The Morskoy Ethanoid terminal was hit. Kirovska Airport was also among the targets. This is a base where they store Iranian-made UAVs. The Advanced Air Defense Radar Station in Yevpatoria was also among the targets. Ukraine blinded Russia. If Crimea was the artery, Zaporizhzhia was the brain. Forward command posts of two armies were hit. This means Russian generals and colonels sitting in shelters were targeted by Flamingo's bunker-busting warheads. So why was Orel so important? Images show a huge hole in the main thermal power plant. This not only plunged civilians into darkness, it cut power to defense industry facilities like Orel Techmash. Most importantly, Orel is home to a main military base from which Russia launches Shahed UAVs. So by sending the Flamingo to Orel, Ukraine actually struck at the very source of the terror. Putin launched 138 UAVs at Ukraine. Ukraine's response was to destroy his command centers. Ukraine's targeting of Russia's infrastructure is tantamount to pushing a giant that is already teetering, because Putin's Russia is collapsing internally. 500 million barrels of Russian oil are stranded at sea. Ukraine's drone attacks have hit so many refineries that Russia can no longer process its crude oil. 500 million barrels of Russian oil are trapped in tankers with no buyers due to sanctions. But more dangerous than economic collapse is social collapse. Russian citizens are sabotaging their own country. In the last 24 hours, a woman in Leningrad set fire to electrical panels on scammers' instructions. Thousands of kilometers away in Irkutsk, another woman set fire to a transformer, cutting power. Putin's patriotism propaganda has become less valuable than an empty stomach or the promise of money. The state cannot even protect its most powerful propaganda tool, as federal TV channels are hacked. The war has returned to Putin's home, and this escalating nightmare is only just beginning.